why did you want to start podcasting, dude? Like you were just talking about over here a few seconds ago.
I mean, the biggest thing with me is I just feel like, you know, I get into a lot of conversations with people. Yeah. You know what I mean? And there's like a lot of subjects that I feel strong about just in life in general. You know what I mean? And I think it's fun to dive in with that with people and kind of see, you know, what other people's mindset is. And,
yeah.
And I feel like I know I'm not the only person that thinks like
no.
that.
No.
You know what I mean?
No, like I'm totally that way. Like people are like, how can you talk to people? And it's like, dude, I'm just curious about shit. It's like, you know?
I'm the same way, man. I just like to dive into anything that I can and, you know, just learning people and just what people have gone through and just seeing where people are at. And then, you know, just like anything. And I feel like podcasts, people listen to that and it kind of, you know, it brings out other people's mindsets to you, if that makes sense. You know
for sure. For sure.
I think the craziest thing that happens when I've, like, in the past listened to podcasts is, like, I'll throw it up and, like, over time, as you listen to episode after episode, like, whatever podcast it is, you eventually start to have a relationship with that person that's behind the mic, but, like, it's a one-way relationship. So, like,
I see what you're saying.
Constantly, like, as we speak into this mic and people listen to it, we're basically their, like, other consciousness that's, like, throwing thoughts in their head. And that's super powerful as far as the fact that, like, you could be going through your daily life and, like, so I wake up in the morning and I have my own personal thoughts that go through my head, but if, like, something isn't, like, clicking right for me that day, you throw on a podcast and you get those third thoughts coming through.
It influences your thoughts throughout the day.
It's going to influence the way you're thinking as you're going into your next stage of, like, whatever it is you have to do to be productive or, like, whatever it is that day. Yeah,
and I agree with that, too, because I can even say, like, when I first got into sales, I got big into Grant Cardone.
Oh, okay.
And was listening to a lot of his podcasts and stuff. And honestly, that was like the best months that I was having was when it was every morning I was going to work and I was listening to that. You know, it was what was it? Business and Young Hustlers.
Young Hustlers.
And it was just, I mean, I don't know, man, it was just awesome. And I just felt like it really, like you said, you basically influenced my mind throughout the day. It's just like it kind of just burns it into your head when you start listening to it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And would you even say it's almost like having that, like, did you guys listen to Joe Rogan and Elon Musk's podcast? The one?
Yeah.
I didn't listen to it, but I heard a lot about it.
Okay. So he's talking about, like, AI and that, which is, like, artificial intelligence, and, like, how at one point we'll be able to connect, like, a computer or some shit to your brain, and it will just add a third, like, pathway.
So it's, like, the only thing that's, like, currently, like, limiting us to that right now is what's bandwidth. So, like, the time between it takes me to get to my phone, like, use my brain to, like, take action towards my phone, and then the phone put the information feedback into my brain. So that's called bandwidth, that time it takes. And, like, eventually what's going to happen is that time between what happens between your phone is going to become, like, non-existent. So as you have...
It's like reacts.
As you have a personal thought...
You ain't think about it.
Yeah, as you have a personal thought, like, it instantly sends, like, it... So you can have, like, a math equation that you read, and, like, that third part of, like, whatever your brain is going to be there because there's going to be no bandwidth, and, like, it'll give you the answer.
Right.
So, like, ideally, like, what's going to happen is we're going to become so smart as human beings that, like, you wouldn't actually have to learn a certain amount of things. You would just, like, it would already be at your access.
Jeez.
but I feel like kind of like with podcast, it's that without the spontaneity.
I was thinking about that today as I was listening to a podcast because I was reflecting. They had mentioned Elon Musk in the podcast, and I reflected back to that thought on when you are listening to a podcast, like it is your, like, other thoughts. Like, there's your prefrontal cortex, and there's the other part of your brain that, like, sends you thoughts, and, like, adding that podcast in is that third thought going into your brain.
Yeah.
So, like, that's why I personally believe podcasts are becoming so popular, because of the fact that you can, like, instantly give somebody information. If all they need is a pair of headphones and their phone in their pocket, and you can be such an influence that way on how their day is going.
Yeah, I definitely see it. And it's like, I think it cuts out that middleman. Like Tesla, they say why that company fell is because he went straight to the consumer instead of having, like, the dealership in between the consumer and the manufacturer.
Yep.
And like this, you don't have to go through the bullshit of someone's like a professor's interpretation and take on it. Mm-hmm. It's just kind of like going straight to the source.
It's like Spark Notes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A book, it's just read to you. You know what I mean? Just like that, too.
Yeah. And you just get to listen to it. Yeah. Like, I get to be fucking lazy.
They literally give you... and that's one thing is, like, dove into like reading books and things like that as well. But the more I read, the more I'm just like, man, I'd just rather listen to this, because while I listen to this, I can also be productive on something else.
For sure.
And the podcast is the modern day book of saying, okay, let's sit down and have an hour-long conversation for somebody to be able to put in their ears and like listen to, whether it's a story that you're telling about your life or listening to a story about like how they could be more successful in like X, whatever that is they're doing. So like that's another very powerful thing, is that we can become a book that's instant for people to like read, or like listen to, so to say. Like, it's as we live our daily lives, we're telling our stories through this microphone, and like people are like listening to our daily stories. Let's go ahead and dive in on just like who we are as people, and like what, like just start with some like basic experiences of like whether it's like our growing up, or whether it's just like what you're currently like into or involved in, and then from there we can just kind of let the conversation flow.
How did you find the kind of like the self-help?
So at a young age, when I was in high school, I was actually introduced to a company called Herbalife Nutrition. So Herbalife Nutrition is a multi-level marketing company where you come in and it's direct sales, and the kind of idea behind when you join like one of these multi-level marketing companies, or like pyramid schemes as most people would call them, it's just like the way people view it, because like there are companies that have came and gone that have been these scams, like that is a common thing. So it's given a bad reputation to the world of like multi-level marketing or whatever it is. However, like if you look at the business structures of each one, whether it's like a multi-level marketing system, some direct sales company like Mike's works for, or even just like a State Farm company or like school system, everything runs the same way. So there's always this person that's like at the top that's created a team of people, and the team of people naturally get paid less than the guy ahead of them. Actually, what I find very interesting, and this is why this ties back into the part of personal development journey or whatever it is when you join a multi-level marketing system, you have people that might be ahead of you in the business, but those are like your mentors to you, to like teach you to be better at sales, be better at running teams. But from there, like there's no cap on what you can create below you. So as far as like moving through whatever the marketing plan would be in a business like this, it's all based on your personal growth. So I've kind of gotten into this world of like, I wanted to be into bodybuilding, I wanted to be into like lifting heavy weights, and like at the same time this thing was introduced to me that kind of played a part in it, of like the nutrition and the supplements, and I kind of dove into it, but I developed this, like, people were talking about personal development and listening to this person and reading this book, and like I didn't understand what was the purpose behind it at the time.
I remember I would go in and tell you like shit. And it was like at that stage we were like, I was just portraying it as like this little weird like self-help guru meditation shit. Like,
and like I didn't know like truly what it was, but I like knew people were bettering themselves to take them to a next level of whether it was income or whatever it is. So so that's where like I really got, like I dove into it. I began to train, and like I saw like as I developed as an athlete, or like developed as a bodybuilder, or whatever you want to call me, that started to correlate with that self-help part of life, to where I truly just fell in love with this thing of like personal growth. And like as I've gone through my years of training now, which is going on 5, 6 years of training, like it's taught me to be this person that's like, the training that I go through is like the foundation for my personal growth. And from there, like I've sprung out into different areas, whether it's like want to be better in my relationships, want to be better at business, want to be better at team growing, or just like people skills in general, personal things like being more confident, being willing to take an action on something that maybe scares you. And as I've just gone through this journey of like growing through that business and then starting my own personal businesses, like especially at such a young age, I have like paid very close attention to the adults in front of me, to see like the way they think or the way they look at what you're doing or whatnot. And if you put a huge reflection as to where like the people that are giving you negativity are, they're probably not in the space you ever want to be in. Like, I found the self-development journey so early, I feel like. I have gained years of wisdom among, like, my peers, and then even amongst people that are further ahead in life than me. Whether it's, like, they're 35 years old or they just have a better, like, job or whatever it is. But, like, through that self-development, that's how I've been able to, I would say, be as kind of, like, successful, so to say, at, like, the age I am. I feel like at the age I'm at, especially doing everything, I've never worked for anybody else. Like, I feel like I'm doing pretty well as far as developing that. And, like, it's helped a lot that I've had a wonderful family situation where I come from that's helped me develop to the human I am now. And, like, I can never deny the fact that, like, I've come from something that's, like, so absolutely terrible. I've came from something that's been super great growing up. And, like, I couldn't be more grateful or thankful for that, because without it, I probably wouldn't have had some of the opportunities that I've currently had. So,
how did you do why did you pick fitness, though? Because I remember we talked about this at one point, and you said you were finishing up, this was back in high school, and you were saying you were going to finish up with golf, and then that was the thing you were going to get into. Why did you pick that?
So, growing up, I was, like, always a really skinny kid. So I never weighed more than 140 pounds until my junior year of high school.
Okay.
So I was, like, 5'10", 135 pounds, like a twig. And, like, there was kind of some insecurity behind that for sure.
Right.
And there was also some just, like, insecurity by my older brother was, like, this bigger, strong kid, and he was into powerlifting. My grandpa happened to be into powerlifting, and then as I jumped into it, like, I became fat. I've always been fascinated with, like just bodybuilders in general from a young age. So it kind of, like, just drove me in that direction, that I know some of my family has done, like, similar things, and I began to have a real talent for it. And that's when I was just like, I need to buckle down on this thing, because, like, I truly do love showing up here every day. And, like, I don't know if that'll wear off in 5 to 10 years to where I transition to something else or whatnot. But, I mean, I just love it, and it's become, like I said, part of my passion and, like, part of my self-development journey.
Mike, you just wait, because I am going to fucking get to you. You do not believe.
Yeah, I think one thing that I've discovered, too, is, like, going through this, and I feel like I've actually, due to some, like, fortunate situations I've had, like, I feel like I get to be a positive light to some people. Okay. And as Mike has moved to Columbus, and, like, I met Mike, and, like, I didn't know much about his story, but I, like, one day at the gym, Mike and I were just having a conversation, and that's kind of, like, tied me into being like, damn, like, this guy's came from something, like, that's pretty significant. And like, it's cool that I've happened to, like, be a person that's fallen into Mike's life, that as we're going through it, that's just, like, I can be a person in Ohio here to say, hey, Mike, like, good work, like, that's awesome, like, keep it up, or, like, put encouragement on his life to, whether it's start a podcast, win his bodybuilding shows, push a little harder in the gym, like, train together. And, like, there's definitely a brotherhood that gets created in the gym when you're training with somebody. Like, that's why I've developed some of the friendships I have, whether it's Dalton that you just met, that we just trained with, or just even, like, Jay Azeltine, like, I started training with him, a couple of my buddies from high school as well. Just, like, you create a bond with that person and become a friendship, and, like, from there, you're on this self-development journey together, especially, like, these high-level athletes that want to compete in high-level stuff. It's just, like, if you're not on this self-development journey, you might as well just hop off any dreams that you have for whatever it is you're chasing, because the mental state and mental part of what we do is, I would say, almost twice as important as anything physical we do.
Mike, here we go, dude. Are you ready? I'm ready. Okay. So, and this is cool, because this is cool that's actually on here, because this is actually legit shit. I don't know anything about you. Let's just start. Where did you move from?
All right, so I'm originally from Wheeling, West Virginia.
Okay.
And I moved up here. I lived there my whole life. I was telling you, after high school, I moved up to Boston. I did 3 years of junior hockey there. I played 3 years of junior hockey there, and then after that went down to Alabama, did some training camp and skated with some Southern Pro down in Huntsville, Alabama. So I went and did that. Ended up getting hurt, basically. Yeah, and when I was in juniors in Boston, there it was coming to our last season, and ended up getting a high ankle sprain like in training camp. Shit. In the third season there, and then basically that was it. Came home, and then ended up going down to Huntsville for a few months or what it was, and then that didn't pan out. So I ended up coming home, and I did worked in a coal mine for a little while.
No way.
Yeah, I worked in a coal.
Let's dive in on that. I want to hear about that.
Yeah, I mean that was pretty shitty. So when I basically when hockey and all that ended, I came home. My family owned a bar, and I like came on. I was like managing that, like bar manager with my uncle and my dad. And it's working with family, you know what I mean? And me and my uncle butted heads. Me and my dad butted heads here, and then eventually I'm just like, all right, I got to do my own thing. You know what I mean? I can't work here. So I got into the coal mine, and I was there for probably 6 months, 7 months I was there for. And I mean, it was just brutal, dude. I worked, midnights, afternoons, day shifts, and then weekends was 12-hour shifts. So I work a week of midnights, and I work a week of afternoons, and then I work a week of day shift, and then our weekends where we could work it, we do go in and do 12-hour work, like on the belt line. And some of you just worked all the time, and it sucked. And I wasn't even like making like top wage. I was like working for a contractor, so I was making like $12 an hour doing it.
And this is the bar?
No, this is when I was in the coal mine. You're good. No.
Yeah, I think the listeners know where you were at. Yeah.
And so anyway, so so I did that for about like 6-7 months or whatever it was, and then got on with a gas plant. And I was operator technician at a gas plant. 4 years I worked there, and I got hired on there when I was 21 years old, and I worked until I was 25.
Damn.
And so I was doing that, man. I had a nice house back home.
You had a house?
It had a truck, house. Pretty much making like $75,000-$80,000 a year. And just working a shit ton though, and like my training and stuff was, was never. I mean, where I was, we'll get into all of that, but
yeah.
But basically, I just got to a point, man. I was like, couldn't take it no more. I was like complacent. It was like my life isn't changing. Like something's gonna change. I was seeing. The same shit I was doing day one, I was doing 4 years in. I was watching a guy that was 65 years old doing the same job I'm doing, basically. Like, this is what I got. 40 years from now, that's going to be me.
Yeah.
And it was a hard pill to swallow, man. You know what I mean? That's from a person, like, that's always been, like, athletic and push myself, you know what I mean? It was just really hard for me to just, like, accept the fact that, like, that was it. You know what I mean? And I, like, struggled with it for, like, every year I was there, I was like, I'm going to move to Florida. Like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And, I just couldn't take it no more, and probably like a year before I moved, my uncle got diagnosed with terminal brain cancer, and basically was like, he got real sick, and they gave him like 7 to 10 months to live. And he's still alive right now. It's like 16 months. Yeah, and like no one. I mean, it's like it's bad, and so basically him and I were at his house one night, sitting there talking, and I was going to and I was telling him, I'm like, man, I don't know what the fuck to do, dude. This is brutal, man. Like, I'm miserable. Like, I just don't even know what to do. And, like, everyone around is like, oh, you're making good money, though. Like, stick it out, man. You know what I mean? Like, what else are you going to do, And I'm like, he's like, dude, he's like, you got to try something, man. He says, look at me. It's like, I thought I thought, my plan was to get out and do something in 3 years. When I retire, we were going to move. And he's like, now I'm pretty much stuck here, and I'm going to die like that. You know what I mean? And I was like, yeah. So that pretty, like, sunk in. You know what I mean? And I was like, fuck, man, he ain't kidding, And it was pretty much... After that, I just started looking. My buddies came up here one weekend, and I was like, this is pretty awesome up here. Like, I went back and got on Indeed and started looking up jobs in Columbus, and found a job called doing sales, door-to-door sales for AP Energy.
No way,
never did any kind of sales in my life. Took a $14 an hour pay cut, cashed in my 401k, sold my truck, moved up here, and just got this apartment. Like, didn't know anybody, and just took the job.
Dude, that's ballsy.
Yeah, and then. Kind of like knew a guy that introduced me to the the Stonemore, the company I work for now, the cemetery there, and so then that's kind of where I'm at now.
How did you go a little bit into the hockey? Is that like the thing you were like, okay, I'm gonna try to go pro?
Yeah, so I started playing when I was growing up. I kind of got behind the 8 ball with hockey a little bit just because of the area that I came from.
Yeah,
and. When I was 9 years old, I started playing when I was like 6. I played for a couple years. When I was 9 years old, I got in a bicycle accident, ruptured my spleen, and basically rushed to emergency room. I was like, within like 5 minutes of dying. Like I was internally bleeding out. And my dad wasn't going to take me into the hospital. Basically, like he thought it was going to be okay, and we ended up going in, and they're like, the kid's had like 5 minutes, baby. Like basically, he was going to die in the car if it bled anymore.
Holy shit,
I was in. I couldn't do any contact sports, nothing for a year and a half. But I was like from 9 to like almost 11, and then basically, I couldn't do anything. I was in a hospital for it was almost 2 months, like bedridden. Yeah, as a 9-year-old. And so then, so I was kind of like set back with hockey, and then once I got back to show, I started playing again, and we just I played all the time, dude. My dad and my uncle was the bar. They bought a old garage, a big 3-car garage,
okay,
and we turned it into an indoor hockey rink in the summer, and like we'd play roller hockey.
Yeah,
and we'd play. I mean, dude, it'd be nonstop, like every day. We have a ton of us down there playing. This is growing up like that through high school and stuff.
Okay.
So we had that, and then into high school, I went in and started playing AAA, which is in Pittsburgh. So every day I'd drive from Wheeling to Pittsburgh, practice for an hour, then drive back to Wheeling every night. And then the weekends we traveled, Boston, no matter where, we were always traveling all over the United States to play. And so then played through high school. After that, I went into juniors, and obviously like when I got up there, it was like, I was kind of just so like behind, because kids were doing it when they were like 16, and I didn't get it there till I was like 19. You know what I mean? And I was already a super underdeveloped kid because when I was in high school, I got diagnosed with human growth hormone deficiency. Okay. So my body didn't produce growth hormone or testosterone naturally. I didn't produce it. Basically, at 15 years old, my growth was stunted at like 4'10", and I was like probably 98 pounds at like 15. Wow. Yeah, so I got on doctor-prescribed HGH. And
Heard of that.
Yeah, and I took that from like my sophomore year, junior, senior year, then my first year out of high school when I moved into hockey. And then, then I obviously caught up eventually. But by the time when I was like 20 years old is where I should have been when I was like 17 or 18. You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah.
It's by the time I caught up. So when I moved up there, I'm 18 years old. These kids are 16 years old, and they're bigger than me. You know what I mean? Like I'm just so underdeveloped, and they've been playing in the hotbed of hockey for their whole life. You know what I mean? Here I'm from Wheeling, and I get into this team, and so it was tough, man. I had like 2 struggle years, and my third year was my last year. And coming into it, I already talked to this school called Babson. Basically coming into it, my head coach is like, "Dude, Mike, you're like our guy this year." I was like first line center, like the man. After like all this is like finally paid off, summer's training. I mean, I was like killing it, and we had our third weekend in training camp. I got a high ankle sprain, and it was just like, it was bad. And I tried to play with it for the next like 2 weeks, and like just kept getting worse. And I had looked at it again. They're like, yeah, like you basically, you can't be playing. But at that level, like you can't sit out. You know what I mean? Like these guys are so good. It's like everybody there to take everybody's spot at any time. Yeah. So I was to the point where I'm like crutching into the rink. And the trainer would tape my ankle, and then I was going out and playing on it because I was trying just to keep staying in the lineup. And eventually, it was just like, I can't take it anymore, man. It's like, it's fucked. I got to sit out. Sat out, came back. The second weekend back. We were playing in a tournament. Got hit, tore my AC joint, and then basically healed up from it, and then got asked to be traded to Philadelphia, where I went out and finished the season because I'd be a first liner there. You know what I mean? That team ended up winning the championship of the AJHL that year, and I left them and went to Philly. Yeah. As
you got into like playing at that level, would you say you had started a self-development journey at that point?
Oh yeah, you know what I mean. That was where it hit when you started. I mean, hockey was really always my. You know what I mean? I was always just so driven to be like practice. Like that's how I like self-development. That's, everything I was doing was always like, I never got in, with, you talking about, everything with the reading and, like I never really got into all that side of things.
But you were in the other side.
Yeah, I was
doing
like,
shit.
Like doing it. You know what I mean? Like that was like, I'd sit there in my basement with a stick and it's like, it was hours. Sitting there practicing. My whole basement had holes in the walls. You know what I mean? It was, I'd be up at the garage and I'd jog up there to it with skates and then play for 10 hours. There'd be times where me and my uncle would be out on the outdoor roller hockey rink with headlights shining on the rink so we could play at nighttime. You know what I mean? It was like...
I was going to ask you, I'm like a firm believer in like we manifest the things that we like maybe think about throughout the day. So like whether I'm having negative energy, I'll like throughout like a season of like my life or whatever it is, like that negative energy tends to attract negative things to happen to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I was gonna ask like why like was your self-development journey at that time, because I was gonna ask, do you feel like maybe you were in like a negative state of like how you felt about a particular player or a hockey team or like whatever it was, and like was there like a way that you maybe had like manifested those injuries to happen to you throughout that time to where now like maybe you find times in your life where you're just like, dang, like that good thing happened to me because I've been thinking positive all day long and like this good thing came along, but like at the time, like obviously injuries are a little bit different, like you can't quite control them.
Yeah,
however,
but there was
like,
definitely negative things that happened, you know what I mean? Like coming up through while I was playing and stuff. I mean, yeah, 100%. But like you said, injuries is just one of them things where.
Yeah.
And then when you get to that point, you know, you do just basically. I mean, I was a head case at that point. You know what I mean? It was I did put so much into that. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, my dad refinanced his house to basically send me to be able to continue to play. You know what I mean? Like his whole life was dedicated to me.
You were really into that.
Yeah, I mean that was our life. You know what I mean? From the time I was a freshman in high school till when I moved off to juniors. I mean he was still helping me paying for everything. But he wasn't there. You know what I mean? I was he was here and I was up there. But I mean it was like that was my life. You know what I mean? It was didn't have like that much. I didn't do like during hockey season. That was it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I didn't go snowboarding. I didn't ride 4-wheelers. It was hockey.
How much time did you spend on that? Like, I mean, was there like, did you have time to go out and like to chill or to do anything?
Summertime you could. You know what I mean? Summertime was like that. But during season, it wasn't happening much because when I was traveling, like I said, as a kid, I'd get off school at 4:00. Yeah. And it was straight to Pittsburgh for a practice at 7. Get there at 6:30. Okay. Practice. Drive home. Now I'm getting home at 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. I'm going to bed. I'm getting up doing it again. You know what I mean? Right. 5 days a week, and the weekends, like Friday, we'd basically be flying out or be playing in Pittsburgh Saturday and Sunday.
Wow.
Yes, it was just like it, and it wasn't cheap neither. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, like you said, it gets to a point where when everything was there, like I felt like it was finally like it took so long. I finally got like a coach on my side. I got a guy like. You know what I mean? Like, I put so much effort into it. Like, so many times I felt like, as I played, like, I never got the recognition that I, not, like, felt that I deserved, but, like, knew that I was, like, I knew what I had. You know what I mean? It was, like, and I finally got a guy, like, on board with me. And he was, you know what I mean, coming into the season, he's like, dude, Mike, you're our guy. Like, there was a kid that got recruited by Army, to play Division I, and he left our team and went to the team that I came from. And I came to our team, like, the year prior, but he had left. And my coach was like, you're better than he is. Like, we're making out on this. Basically, this guy's a Division I hockey player. Both of my roommates were Division I hockey players. They both wanted to play, and I played them for 3 years each.
Wow.
Yeah, and I mean, so it wasn't like it was I wasn't at that level. You know what I mean? If we played one-on-one, it was any one of us could win. It wasn't, you know what I mean? And then you get hurt like that, and it's just like, you do everything you can. I mean, I'm trying to keep it up, and then I got my dad back here. He's like, what's up? I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine. Because he wants it just as bad as I want it. And it's, yeah, man. But then shit happens for a reason too. Because then I got into fitness. That's what got me into that. You know what I mean?
Do you feel now, if you were to, on your journey through like training, if you were to come up with like a crazy injury, would you be able to like handle it better mentally in this like place you are now versus like when you handled the situation for hockey however you did, or like you were a mental head case, like now you pull on an injury, like what would your initial like thoughts be, or how would you change going about it, or like would you find more patience with it, or
well, I mean, it's just like I think now it's just like I know my body and stuff better too now. You know what I mean? I know when I can train something and it's gonna hurt, or I know when it's just gonna be something. You know what I mean? I think I've ever I couldn't think the last time I trained 100% or felt 100. You know what I mean? Like every day I'm like crawling out of bed, my knees hurt, your elbows hurt, you know what I mean? But like that's part of the game. That's what it's. Yeah. So when you get injuries like that, but now I definitely think that because I've had to deal with since then I've injured myself during my training, and it's I don't know, man. I don't think I'd be able to handle it much any different. It's definitely injuries suck no matter how you look at them, and it's not fun to get injured, especially when you work so hard and it's just like. You know what I mean? Like right now, if something was to happen, and I've been prepping for the show since August. That's like my one buddy, Brady King, that got in a car accident. Yeah. He was 2 weeks out from for a show competing for his pro card, got in a car accident, broke his hip and his ankle, and had to put a steel rod in his. And dude, he prepped for like 16 weeks and was like looked ridiculous, and got in a car accident and was basically hemmed up for 6 months.
How did you let go of something like that? Like, how do you learn to like just not go fucking nuts out of something like that?
I mean, like when a car accident like that.
No. I'm saying like you with like, or I mean,
just in general, just like when it like basically it's all just goes away, everything you thought.
Yeah, when like you were just like fuck, like hockey's over.
Yeah,
like,
I mean it was tough, man, because you gotta think like that was my life. Like I didn't know anything else. Like I wasn't like studious.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I don't consider myself by any means a genius. You know what I mean? Like that was never my thing.
Right.
I was always like sports, and it was like my family didn't push me to like open a book, and you know what I mean. It was never like a thing in my house. It was just do whatever you want as long as you're passing. Like it's good. Not that I was getting shitty grades. I was still getting 3.0s. You know what I mean? But that was it. It wasn't like I was basically doing what I had to do to get by, and that was it. You know.
I think we all.
Yeah. But I never did like self development outside of that brain wise. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't reading anything else or doing. I was playing hockey.
The other thing that I was going to bring up is like through my younger years of school. Is like I was a really good athlete. Like I was very gifted in the field of athletics. I always started point guard in basketball ever since I could remember. I always played on that next team up with the next age groups. Like in football, I excelled really well as a young kid. However, I didn't at the time even have like a. I look back on it now. I never even had an understanding of like what hard work was or like. To develop myself in something. Like I just figured like, oh, I'm like good as it is, like might as well just keep showing up and playing how I'm playing. Like I don't ever remember a time that I put like significant amounts of like just heavy hard work into like being a better basketball player or like developing myself to be a football player. I started to find that in golf a little bit. Like really working like because I didn't excel at golf. So, because I didn't excel at it, I thought I had to work a little harder. So, I did put some, like, extra effort into that. That's the first time I ever experienced that. But what I was going to say was, if I would have put the effort that I've put into my training career, because I put the idea of, like, mental state and, like, personal development behind it, if I would have put that same thing into the sports I was playing growing up, I just think about, like, what level I could have been at because of the fact that I was so naturally gifted at those things, but like the mindset just wasn't there to develop. Like it was afterwards when I found another thing that I was able to develop.
I mean, I think that leads to just like shit happens for a reason. You know what I mean? Like I said, like stuff like that happens. Like you might have excelled there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if I would have went on and went to college, like what would have happened? But then it's like you almost land yourself in positions like you might not be. You know, on this journey of entrepreneurship that you're on.
Yeah, exactly.
If you wouldn't have got it, if you would have went into that, you know what I mean? Then you might have end up, playing sports for 4 years in college, boozing all through college, and getting a desk job after a 4-year degree. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that easily could have went that route because that's what you're focused on. That stuff you're not as focused on what you're doing, and not as focused on yourself. You know what I mean?
I always say I didn't go to college because I would have died of alcohol poisoning. So that's my rhyme for a reason.
I would never have went to class. It would have been
that too.
Rec center during the day, parties at night.
Well,
that's what when juniors was, dude, I didn't take my ACTs till I was like 21 years old. Till it was like time to try to get into school. It's like, hey, you should probably take these. I'm like, oh man, I didn't even think about it. You know what I'm saying? That's how like unpushed it was on me. Like that was like, it wasn't like make sure you get them done, Mike. It was like, do you take them? Yeah, all right. Like that was it. You know what I mean? Like I was just like, they're just gonna take me from me. I don't know why the fuck I ever thought that.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it was like that was definitely not my thing.
Oh god, that's funny. So did you go to college or no?
No, I never went to school. No, I basically, like I said, when hockey ended, I just moved home and started working.
Yeah.
That was pretty much. Then I really moved back home to the city, and we're back into Wheeling. I'm like living in Boston for 3 years, and it's like great. Everyone up there is like, it's high speed. It's everyone's motivated. That people are pushing themselves. You see like that mindset. Like back home when I was growing up through high school, I was never introduced to that. So like basically, what was around me, like I was kind of okay with it. And like a lot of people from back home are okay with that. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I was not the kind of person. Like once I got introduced to it, I wasn't that person anymore. You know what I mean? I seen like. Because, back home, you don't see the money and, the
right.
extravagant stuff in the city. You know what I mean? Like I see Pittsburgh and the cities when I'm growing up, but you just don't like really like see it till you like live it. You know? And when I went to Boston, I'm like, dang, dude, like my buddy's dad, like he had money. We're always going out to nice restaurants and this and that. And I'm like, dude, this is what I want to be doing. You know what I mean? This is the life I want to be living. You know what I mean? So you kind of see that, and I got used to that lifestyle. And I got dressed in preppy, and you like get swanky. You know what I mean? Like everything changed. My whole life changed. And then I come home, and it's like, I rewound 3-4 years. You know what I mean? All of a sudden, I'm like, what? Like nothing's changed.
Okay.
Everything's the same. You know what I mean? Like it was like I moved away and came back, and it was still the same. You know what I mean? Yeah. It was everything was the exact same. And then I just started again. I just got into that. And I'm just like working and I got in with the bar business with my dad and my uncle, and I was doing that. And I was like, yeah, maybe I'll take this over. And I'm in my 20s. I'm drinking every day. You know what I mean? I worked throwing parties all the time down there. I mean, didn't have to pay for nothing. So I was just me and my buddy we drink all the time every day, and just was doing that. I wasn't like I would lift, but it wasn't really anything crazy. And then I got into some boxing and stuff like that, and I don't even know where the hell I was even going with that. But
dude, I don't either.
I was gonna ask you, though,
well, the bar biz, yeah, I forget where I kind of got off track, but with the so basically I got in with the bar biz, my dad and them, and was gonna like take the bar over.
Okay, yeah.
And then I started seeing it, and I'm like, man, like if I take this bar over, you know what I mean? Like, what am I gonna become?
Just like same shit.
It's it's 365. You know what I mean? And it's like so then I left that, got jobs, and then I just basically seen what the hell is this? My life's never going to get to that level that I wanted it to be at. You know what I mean? And that was pretty much like what made me pull that trigger eventually. It was just like, I need to change, man. Something's got to change.
So that was a super big blessing to you to experience like your Boston experience.
Yeah, no, huge, man. Huge.
Just like start to fall back into the same patterns and recognize it.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, yeah, dude. It's crazy.
Yeah, I when I was in LA, I was only there a month. But when I came back to Columbus, I was like, this is like... It's like little leagues, like
that would be like that to me. This is a big city.
Yeah. Well, to me, Columbus is a big city as well because of the fact that I've grown up in Hanover, Ohio, which you've grown up like in that area too. It's like to me, even like Columbus is a big city, or even coming to New Albany has like been that most eye-opening thing to me. It's just like crazy, like 30-minute drive makes all the difference.
What was LA like? Like what were you doing there? What was happening there?
Let's actually take it back to Stanson's backstory about
we don't know nothing about you.
I'm this asshole over here just
talking for an hour.
I know him.
I lost my train of thought for a minute.
I knew that would happen because I know him. But like take us back to why you were in LA, like the modeling thing and
yeah. Well, real quick to the city thing. I remember, dude, I was like 5 years old. And my mom, I can't remember where we were going. I think it was like Columbus. To give an idea of how desolate where we grew up.
Oh, his situation was worse because he wasn't even in school.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah, so.
But I remember she was like, kids, look, there's a city. And as like a 5-year-old, I'm just like you imagine like the nose squished to the window, like, holy fuck, a city!
Yeah, but take it back to like what like took you to LA, like what that development
the
was.
city, obviously you didn't get it.
Oh yeah, you were saying like, yeah, I see what you're saying. Shit, that goes back a really long way too. I think just kind of public school. I was homeschooled, and very, very, I didn't understand social cues. I still don't to a certain degree. I'll take things too far. And like some people are like, no, that's not cool. I'm like, oh, okay.
That's actually something.
That's not accepted. Noted.
Noted. That's good.
That is the realest thing. It's something we've talked about like many times.
From there, just kind of opened some like new ideas because I was like, shit, like I don't really know how to like talk to people. Yeah, dude. It's like I didn't know how to talk to people, so I kind of had to. That's where that kind of self-help thing came into me.
Yeah.
It was like comedian kind of by day, nerd studying at night.
Okay.
And then that like somehow found a weird balance. And then that got into different ideas, and then modeling kind of my brother was like, he first suggested it. And then there was a guy that came to our school, super weird, creepy.
Wait, was this one here? This one you were living here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so this, yeah.
Okay.
And then he was like actually I was making fun of him. I was making fun of this guy, like pointing at him and shit, and then he saw me and came over, and then
I
he was
remember
like,
this.
yeah, I think we were all at the same
Yeah,
table or
I
something.
fucking remember this like clear as day.
And so then what happened?
And he was like, hey, you should do this thing in Columbus. Went and did it.
You're scouting little boys.
Yeah, dude.
This podcast is not going to be PG.
So you did it, and then what happened?
Well, I did it, and then it was like massive scam, and like 10 grand or some shit. Like, it was 10 grand. I was like, fuck you guys.
Yeah.
And it was like, we'll get you to this big agency in New York. I was like, fuck you guys. And I just kind of went. In the next 6 months, I was like, I'm going to do that myself. So like, fuck them. If I'm actually good enough for it, then whatever.
Yeah.
And I just kind of like, just kept sending emails to them, like, probably like 6 months
Ford?
straight.
Same agency?
Yeah, Ford.
Yeah.
And then they finally just one day, like, it was crazy. We were going out to dinner. And it was in this old email that I sent coupons to. Weirdest shit ever. Sent beat-ups coupons to this old-ass email. Didn't even check it anymore. Happened to get on it. This email had like 10,000 emails in it. And I happened to see that one. It was like, hey, we saw your thing. We think you're pretty, like, cool. Like, can you send us some stuff? I was like, fuck yes.
Yeah.
And then that kind of went into next thing. That went on for a while. And I ended up signing with them, like, when I was 16. And then when I was 18, did various things in New York and Chicago. And then they sent me to LA when I was 18. And that was some for real shit. Like, because that had been my dream since I was like 12 years old.
To go to LA.
Yeah, it was like LA. Like, didn't give a shit. It was first I wanted it to be music, then another thing, then another thing. And I was like, damn. It was like pretty for real, like, moment sitting up on top of the Hollywood sign. Like,
I'm here.
yeah.
How long were you there for?
I was only there a month. So it wasn't like I like permanently lived there.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
But
So what happened? Did you just kind of get to the point you just didn't want to do that shit anymore, or like?
Different things. It was and it's kind of like what I'm trying to figure out now, where like that's wrong. There was no like set thing of like this is fucked.
Yeah.
Now we're kind of like, where does this go? Like, I was too young kind of at the time. Now I'm kind of going into a stage where it's like,
What do I do?
yeah, like,
Or what do I want to do?
that what I want to do, but also like we're going into a stage where it's like I actually could have a shot at it, but like what do I do? And like figuring that out now. But okay, what about you guys? Let's start with where each of you are, where you're going.
Great, go ahead.
Where I'm going?
Yeah, where like what are we taking things?
What's your plan?
So as of right now, I'm just still working a business in New Albany with my mother, and we're just continuing to try to expand that and see where that goes for us. On top of that, like, I wouldn't say like that business, so to say, is my true passion. That's how I feel about it. But like, it's definitely something I enjoy still doing, and I do want to grow it. Like, I want it to be one of the things that I decide to actually like put like pursuit in. But then I also just recently launched another online business that I'm trying to grow with a team of people, and like it's truly like beginning to develop me and like show me that I can be a leader in this in a sense, and like run a team and like kind of just like direct traffic in this. And like I think whether it's a very successful business ever or whether it's just something like I do for the next year or 2 years or like whatever it ends up being, I'm going to give 100% to it, but I don't have a super high expectation for any like sort of things other than like being able to learn like these new skills of like directing traffic, directing a team. So like maybe one day like I might not be doing that exact thing, but like I can take the skills and all the practice I've learned and like the previous experience of like trying to do a startup business and like take it somewhere else. It's super powerful that in today's world we have the ability to leverage social media, leverage all these different platforms that like the internet provides us to basically start businesses for free. Like that's like one thing that just absolutely blows my mind is I don't have to go to the bank and say, hey, I need a credit card to start my business. I can literally go on the internet and find services and just like, it's literally it's the only thing that you have to do to start your business is take an action. And like, you don't have to go find an investor. Like, you can start in a very small state and take it to where you want. Like, I would love to one day open a gym that is along with that brand or whatever it is. But like, why should I make the idea of like I need to open a gym first when I can start somewhere else? And
start small and grow into that.
Right.
And maybe it'll grow into a gym, or maybe I'll get to the level where I can open a gym, or I'm comfortable with where that business is.
Yeah.
I sell it. I continue to just let it like kind of run where it's at, or whatever it is. Start something new. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at in life. I'm only 20 years old still, so I don't have like anything I would say that's like set in stone. Like I'm gonna do this forever. I think if I chose to do that, it kind of might put me in a state of like limiting myself to other opportunities or things like that. So I definitely am gonna buckle down on my skills, the things I'm good at, and like really run with it the best I can, and then from there just like keep taking what life is throwing at me and just developing myself and growing into this person that I want to be, whether it's in relationships, business, my training, family life, whatever, friendships, like all of it. And I just want to take it and share it with everybody, share it with the world, share it with the social media platforms, and like just share my journey day to day, face to face with people. And, I think every person's journey, no matter where they're at in it, is very powerful. So that's like kind of what leads me to wanting to do podcasting every day to day on social media. Like it's incredible what you can do for other people just by sharing your journey, sharing your own personal thoughts, and just like the day-to-day things that happen to you, and just truly being real behind it.
That's really great shit. Like I was listening to like a podcast thing, and this guy was talking, and he was talking about like negative spirals in your head, like how the poor get poor because when one thing goes bad, then the next and the next and the next. When one thing goes good, the next thing goes good, next thing goes good. And he was talking about this kid. This really cool TED Talk. I've not watched it. I'm sure it's cool. This guy was going to shoot up a school. And like TED Talk is titled like I was going to be a school shooter or something. And he was like all ready to do it. Like he had everything ready. Next day he's going to shoot up the school. Some kid was like, "Hey bro, you want to come over and watch the game tonight?" And just because he like did that one little thing towards him, he was like, I called the whole thing off. He's like, just because like that friend reached out to me and like wanted to hang out, and he was just like, "Hey, you want to come over and watch the game?"
And that was the end of it.
And yeah, he never shot up to school. But I think what you were talking about.
yeah, that's an extreme version of like. What I'm saying is like as I put things out, I could be that person that might influence somebody to maybe not take that action on something that's super negative. I can be a positive influence, give them something good. They want to do something good, creates more good in their life, and like that good is very contagious.
Oh yeah, and the thing is too with that, like you don't even realize the people that you do impact by it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like I just know, like even myself, like the more active that I become on social media, even if not like talking into it and stuff, but just making posts like at the gym and what you're doing or when you're getting up or what you're, you know what I mean, and like people see that and they're like, man, this motherfucker's like working. You know what I mean? And like, dude, I'll get messages all the time like, hey man, like you don't know me, or I found your page and I just want you to know that like keep killing it, man. Like you inspire. Like people like won't even talk to forever. Like hit me up like, hey man, I just want to let you know like you're doing great, brother. Like keep it up. Like you know what I mean? Like just that little bit, you're like, man, it's like it's nice to like realize that you actually are helping people, and then just like yourself. You know what I mean? Like people are motivated by your motivation.
Sure.
Yeah, sure. And like the other part of that is like whether you have 500 followers or like 5 million, like whatever grand like spectrum you're on, people are paying attention. If they have you on the follow, they see your stuff every single day. So
yeah.
Well, Instagram kind of makes it to where not everybody sees your stuff now, but like people do follow along and like pay attention to your life, and like whether you're putting out something that's super negative or indirect, like or whether somebody thinks they're paying very close attention or if they indirectly are seeing it, it's making an impact on that person. Like, whatever that post is that you put out, like, when somebody's reading it, like, it truly, like, everything I read on the internet truly plays an impact in my head on what I think or what I, like, do next or whatever it is. So I try to, like, I try to monitor what I'm reading. And, like, yeah, it truly is a very powerful thing, and it can create a great snowball effect going in. So
what about you? Where are you kind of going?
I'd say, I mean, right now, my biggest goal, I think, what I would like to try to get, be able to get my pro card, like be an IFBB pro within like 2 years. A year would be what I'd like. You know what I mean? It just depends on like what my off season growth can be and where I can get to. I say 2 years, but I feel like depending on how a good year goes, if I really take care of myself, like the gains that I've made in 9 months just being here. You know what I mean? If I could have another 12 months of that, you know what I mean? Like, I would be really curious to see, like, what I could, level that I could get to. And so kind of, like, now that I'm up here and, like, seeing it and, like, getting ready to compete and seeing myself around these other guys, like, I'm actually realizing, like, wow, man, like, you are, I'm gifted enough. You know what I mean? It's there. The potential is there. If I just, you start seeing it and, like, things that, like when I was back home, that didn't seem like I always like, oh, that would be awesome, but I never actually believed it in my head that it would ever be something that could happen. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I was always finding excuses, like, oh, I'm too covered in tattoos. Like it's not, you know what I mean? Like right. It was always like, oh, well, my work schedule was shitty when I was at the plant. I mean, I did 5:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. or 5:30 p.m. to 5:30 a.m. and that was that was almost 80 hours. 100 some hours every 2 weeks.
Damn.
And so I was working and trying to eat and do that stuff, but. Basically, so now that I've gotten up here, I've seen the potential, in myself, and that's kind of where I've set that goal. Since I've been here, I'm like, wow, man, like maybe this isn't so unobtainable. So that's basically my main priority right now, man. And
that's cool.
And the job that I have really allows me to focus on that. So it's like I mean, I couldn't have been blessed to land in a better situation. Like me and my boss are super tight. My regional manager likes me. Like, they've actually offered me a job to go manage my own park up by the Lewis Center. I've only been there for 5 months. They want me to take over my own park and run it in within the next 3 or 4 months.
Shit.
Yeah, and I'm a top producer in the region. In 5 months, I've done over $300,000 in volume at our cemetery. So it's like, and on top of that, my schedule's 9 to 5. Sometimes I got to work 9 to 7. Just depends. It's sales, so if I got to stay every once in a while, I have to.
Right.
But so in the mornings, I'm up here. I get up 5:30. I'm up, do my cardio, come home, make my breakfast, go to work 9 to 5, get off. Go back to the gym, train. Do my thing, cardio, come home, same thing. That's my and I would never been able to get to this position back home. You know what I mean? It's where I'm at now. Everything is just perfect. You know what I mean? I can really focus on really what I want. And my job doesn't have to be my priority right now. My goal can be my priority. And for the first time in my life, I've never been there. Wow. You know what I mean? I've never been able to
crazy shit.
Yeah, dude. I've never been able to have that. You know what I mean? It's always been oh, I've had a goal or something I wanted to do, but it was never. I never had a situation where I didn't have to basically if I was going to do that, I had to go all in. You know what I mean? I had to right now my life's set up to where I can manage my life and live and still live a good life and make my goal my priority and still get by, and be comfortable. Okay. I'm not I can buy my foods and I'm not struggling to you know what I'm saying? I've never been able to be in this position before. I'm actually I can take care of myself and I'm able to train. It takes work and obviously it's not easy. I'm putting 5-6 hours a day into that and sleeping 4 hours and working 10 hours. You know what I mean? But it's manageable. You know what I mean? I'm able to do it. Okay. And it's
as you continue to manage that and are able to do it, it's only going to take you to places where you're going to be able to more comfortably do and chase your different goals. And start different avenues.
Oh, exactly. Even with getting on a company. I would love to do something with some kind of company rolling, but I think that's probably a flaw of mine. Where Grant's he's better getting I just don't. I'm not good at diving into I'd rather just work for it. I'd rather get my pro, be able to be a pro card, get that credibility, and then open up a clothing line.
Okay.
You know what I mean? That basically have that as my backer, and not have to try to start it just doing a t-shirt and this and that. I want to gain that credibility, and then I want to be able to open that up to more avenues.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you ever explored anything? Because it sounds like you have a real talent, sales.
Yeah.
I mean, have you ever like explored anything in that route, like beyond what you're doing now?
Well, I mean, long-term goal, in that as well would be, obviously I love the fitness side of things. So if I could, get in with like a company, like a big, say I get in, I'm training, I'm bodybuilding, I get sponsored with a company, I can actually work in, like get in with sales with them. You know what I mean? Like I think that'd be awesome to work for a company like Travel. Like say you work for, a Redcon or something, and you basically traveled all over and you were a sales rep for them, but making good, like a higher level sales rep, working for a supplement company. I mean, that'd be awesome. I know the guy that owns Band Bell, which is the bars that I use a lot up at that Metro Fitness I go to. He Jim Sleitzer is his name. He was like bodybuilder, power lifter. He makes these bars. They're like called earthquake bars, and I mean they're awesome. Anyways, but I was talking to him. He's like, "Dude, Mike," he's like, if this company ever takes off, like you're one of the two people I'd be hiring to be you to sell things for me. Like,
wow,
yeah. So I mean, I do. I like talking. You know what I mean? You can, if you can talk to people, you can be respectful to people. You can be empathetic. You know what I mean? You can listen to people. That's what it's about, man. That's what people like to feel like they're being listened to.
Okay.
You know what I mean? When people talking to you, like if you show any kind of concern, acknowledgement, and basically like, that's it. You know, like, for real. That's how they are, though. You know what I mean?
I know Mike's never read the book How to Win Friends and Influence People, but he's had these life experiences to learn like these like
the shit that like we're decoding is natural here.
Yeah. So like,
that's how I'm like a hands-on kind of learner. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's been this hands-on person, and he's probably had more life experience. But like, I've been like so into this self-development thing that like I've started to learn those skills without like ever
having to go
living through it. But then like as I learn that skill, I apply it to my life and I live through it. And I'm like, boom, like crazy, like how much of a difference that made in this situation or that situation or whatever it is. And that's just like it's funny to hear you say stuff like just giving somebody attention. Because when you give that person attention to like express their life, that's their favorite thing to do.
Dude.
Like
people love to talk, man.
I love to talk.
That's what it's about, man. Old ladies are my favorite. At work, man. If I like give them, the other day I had like my bodybuilding pictures on my phone, and they're like, "We heard you're a bodybuilder." I was like, "Oh yeah, I am."
Oh my god!
I got some pictures on my phone. They're like, "Oh, let me see that." They're like, "That's you? That's what you look like under that shirt." I'm like, "Oh yeah." They're like, "So you're telling me if you take that shirt off right now, that's what you look like?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's what I look like." They're all into it. Yeah.
Oh my god!
So it's fun. I thought I get all the time. Like, they love it, man.
The real structure behind the sales. Be a bodybuilder and sell old women. No, that's good stuff. So when you're doing sales, do you just like encourage people to talk?
I mean, sales. I guess I always feel like it's different with every person. You know what I mean? Like I always I'm always depending on who I'm talking to. I'm kind of like reading the room. You know what I mean? Like and open up, and I'm just like real. Enthusiastic when I talk. You know what I mean? I'm kind of like energetic. You know what I mean? So I try to almost force people to like break out of their shells,
to come up onto your vibe.
Exactly.
You can sell
you know what I mean? Because some people are just so rude and like. Just mean something, like, they're just like, sometimes you talk to you, you know how people are. Yeah. You're trying to talk to, like they're not going make eye contact with you and stuff like that. So basically, I mean, you almost like kill them with kindness with sales is how I am. I just kind of like, oh, yeah. And just keep, like, feeding into them until eventually you just break them down.
And they come in.
Then basically, now all of a sudden they're like, oh, this person, like, maybe he ain't just trying to sell me. You know what I mean? Maybe he wants to know what's going on.
Yeah.
Then you get people, dude, I've had some crazy conversations with people, and it's kind of off subject, but I had a kid come in, man, the other day. He was about my age, 26, 27 years old. His dad had like drug problems and stuff, like this and that, and basically it was on and off for a few years. It was an issue, and he basically went to jail for a while, came out of jail, started using again, and then like disappeared for like 2 months. Kid was looking for him, like couldn't find his dad anywhere, this and that. They're like going all over, man, can't find him.
Yeah,
and like 2 months later. Some lady was on a walking trail, like found him dead up against a tree. And, it had his wallet on him, like everything was still there. Like he'd literally just been decaying there and no one walked past that spot for 2 months. And he was just like, had his backpack on him still and everything, just like dead. And they called the kid and told him, this is just in Columbus here. And they told the kid, hey, this is, we found your dad, blah, blah. Well, I ended up burying, working with this kid through it. And, at first, like when him and I talked, like, I was just like, really, open up to the guy, and I was like, hey man, if there's anything I can do, help you out, obviously that's what I'm here for. You let me know, like, give me my personal number. It's like, that's how you be with these people, because they are going through an experience. You know what I mean? So you do have to, help them through it if they're willing to be helped. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, and I could tell this dude, like, he wanted, like, me opening up to him was making it more comfortable. And I told him, I said, whenever, this is the first time I met him. I was like, again, if you want to get a stone and stuff for your dad, like, let me know. In September we are doing 0% for 36 months or whatever, so you're going to save some money on it. I could probably discount it for you. So just let me know, man. And I gave him my card. I didn't like push it. That was it.
Yeah.
Calls me before the end of the month. Hey, Mike, can I still get, can we still do that? Like, that's my sales a lot of time. You know what I mean? I'm not even pushing on base. I'm presenting it to him, letting them know, hey, listen, this is what we're doing. It don't happen all the time, you know what I mean? But this is what we're doing. And I'm not going to push it on him. I'm just going to drop it to him. Anyway, so, he calls me, hey, can I still get the deal? Yeah, he comes in. So we get into the story on it. He's talking to me, and I'm like, my dad had drug problems in rehab a few times and this and that. And, it's a really hard thing to go through as for a kid, especially when, I said, all the things that my dad had done for me my entire life. Basically sacrificed his life for me, and then became a human that I don't even know anymore. You know what I mean? A guy that was my best friend, basically. Was getting ready to go to jail for I don't know how long. It's like, yeah. So it's like it's bad, man. And so basically, he's like sitting there talking to me and telling me everything that's going on, and I started telling him about my stuff, same thing. His dad was into opiates and this and that, and next thing you know, he's like, yeah, man. He's like, all I can say is that he's like, you got one dad. You know what I mean? That's it. And he said, yeah, what you're going through sucks. And he's like, but it's a lot worse on this side of it. You know what I mean? When you're buying a headstone for him, and I'm like, fuck. Like, that's
like fuck moments.
That's like a day at work, though. You know what I mean? Like, so you the relationship you build with. You know what I mean? Like, I probably changed that guy's day by being able to have that conversation with me. You know what I mean? Like, him and I were in a room together, doors shut. He's opening up, like, telling me this, and I'm like, same thing, like, basically like, telling him shit that I don't just like tell people. You know what I mean? Like, we're getting into detail, like, dude, nights if I can, coming stumbling in and just crazy shit. And him and I are like going back and forth, telling, like, relating to each other.
Right.
And and then he goes on and tells me that, and when we get time to talk about working out and how he's trying to train again and this and that, and he's like, here man, like here's my number, like get his phone number. He's like, my number. He's like, I always like if you want to like get a workout in or something sometime, or like he works at a car car shop dealership. Yeah, and he's like, if your car needs fixed or whatever, man, like give me a call, like I can help you hook it, I can do stuff for it, I'll hook you, like, but just like was like a really genuine guy, you know what I mean? Like, but it was just like crazy, man. Like it just, so it's like shit like that just that happens there is just unbelievable. You know what I mean? And I think it's I don't know, it just that just chills you. You know what I mean? Then I'm just like, fuck, man.
The rule of just like genuinely like putting interest in somebody who really applies and like building a relationship there. It's funny because I was listening to a realtor talk the other day, and he was talking about like when he's going to sell a house, he's not just trying to sell a house; he's trying to be in the picture with the family as they sell a house.
And exactly, man. You build that. That's what it's all about, man.
Or like when somebody comes into like our shop to get a smoothie, like I don't want them just taking a picture for their Instagram. I want them saying stuff like, "Hey, can you like repost me," or like, "Can you do this with me?" Or
and you don't want them walking in, getting a shake, and walking out. You want them coming in, sitting down, talking to you. You know what I mean? That's what, and that's what sells them, man. And they'll come back every day, or every 2 times a day.
Twice a day.
Yeah,
they'll sit there and just chit chat with me.
Yeah, they like just to hang out. You're showing interest in them.
Yeah.
Right. You know what I mean? And dude, that's all it is. Dude.
Isn't that crazy?
That's life, man.
That's one thing.
Like, I don't know how people don't get it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that just like blows my mind. And like, if you're gonna be in a business or like do something, you have to put interest towards something, or put interest towards the people that are interested in you. Like, otherwise, you're never gonna sell them anything, or two, they're just gonna be like, whatever. Like, there's probably like the next thing that's grabbing their attention. But especially in such a busy world today, like everything's just busy. Like, you're constantly having things just grabbing your attention here and there. But like, true attention is grabbed when there's like attention put back in that direction. Like,
well, and talking about attention in general too, and that's like the biggest, in a room. If you're a sales rep, when you come in, you command the room. When I walk into a room, like you're knowing Mike's in the room. Okay. No matter if I'm in the gym, if I, no matter where, and I think that is a staple of like, a person that's like if you a strong-minded person, or like I mean, like you talk about sales. That's how I relate to it. But I take that into every aspect of my life. You know what I mean? Like when I walk into a room, like I want my presence felt. Like I don't want to be the guy in the corner that's like sitting back. You know what I mean? Like I want to be the guy that's like people are gonna listen to you when you're that guy. You know what I mean? Like when I'm like, I don't want to be this. I don't want to be shy and sit back. And I'm not trying to be the center of attention by any means. But like I want to control my circumstances.
Right.
So when I walk in, if I'm doing this, if I'm on a sales, talking to you, when I walk in, I'm like, how you doing? I'm Mike. How you doing? I'm like, I'm sorry for your loss. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm making sure I make eye contact with every single person in that room. You know what I mean? When I'm sitting there talking, I'm looking at including every single person in the conversation.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Basically, I'm controlling the room. And I think that's huge with sales, man, because people respect that, and they almost feel like they have to. You draw them in because they're like they're interested in it. You know what I mean? Because if not, it's like what else are they gonna do? You're basically they can't look away. You know what I mean? Like that's how it is.
Can't look away.
Yeah, you're just leading it. And they're just like, and when you get that, then then you start telling them, you want to get this or you want to get that. Like just do that. Just do that. That sounds. You know what I mean? And it's sold.
Damn.
I think though what's crazy about what both you were saying, and this ties back into that podcast we did like last winter, whenever that was. We were talking about like vulnerability and then why that works. And we were like, a common trend I think between all of this shit is that it's real. Like you're talking about this, like you're not doing like this weird, like when I was like, hey Mike, like what's your like approach to sales? Yeah. You're like it's different with every person. It's calibrated. It's actually genuine.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like a fake me. You know what I mean?
Right.
Every person gets Mike. You know what I mean? I might have to present myself differently to each person
to make them.
And there might be a person that comes in. I need to have a tie up. You know what I mean? I need to be sitting up straight. Real strong eye contact. Like you're gonna have them people that you have to be presentable in front of, and then you're gonna have the people that like they're gonna be too intimidated by that. They want to see. You want to be hanging back. Yeah, what's up, buddy? What's up, bro? You know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, maybe drop shit here. You know what I mean? Like, but that's how it is. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, this dude's cool. You know what I mean? This dude's like, I could I can hang out with this guy. The guy that I sold the private estate to was letting me drive his Ferrari around the park. I have gave me his cell phone number. Literally was calling me, texting me, like wants me to meet him and his buddies down at some bar downtown.
Dude, you should.
Dude's like 65 years old, owns 3 orthodontist buildings up in around here. Doctor, his name's like, dude was like loaded, man. Like showed me paying like 11 like different like old cars, like Ferraris, Lamborghini. I mean, like, dude, crazy shit.
You should network with him.
I know. Well, that was always my plan. I just never kind of, how I got lazy with it. Honestly.
Right. I've done it too.
You know what I mean? Like I knew like what I had in front of me. Like, and he's still the kind of guy I can still probably call him up and be like, "Hey, man, let's hit that bar." You know what I mean? Or, like, let's grab that drink. It was just like life. You know how it is, man. Basically, it's like, fuck, if I do that, then I'm not gonna like go to the gym. I'm gonna basically be having beers with these 5 old guys. You know what I mean? It's like,
okay.
So it's like,
So
it's
it's sorry.
priority.
Yeah, exactly. So like that's why it's like with where I say that's how it kind of ties back into. You know what I mean? Like I can still focus on my bodybuilding and work, keep it separate. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like I don't have to go meet a Dave Crystal and network with him because I can still do what I'm doing. You know what I mean? Like, not live comfortable. I still work my ass. I mean, obviously, I still do well in it. You know what I mean? It's not like I'm slacking by any means. But, like, I can still, like, produce and do well there, but still have my main focus.
Okay.
Speaking on the topic of networking, I think this leads well into, like, what you're doing through your life right now and, like, just, like, what you've chose, like, the path you've gone and, like, what you're currently doing, like, where you're working and, like, what you're trying to do there to bring value. And I think that's a perfect way to, like, jump into what, like I said, what you're currently doing, your networking experiences, and just kind of wrapping up this whole thing and just like, bringing in that home with how, like, what your life is going through.
Yeah, and whenever I say this, people always think I'm an asshole. But I really, pretty much every single one of my relationships, that person can do something for me. Yeah. And, like, I don't have many relationships where it's just, like, that person
they have no benefit.
Yeah. And, like, people are like, oh, you're a piece of shit. You're just using people. I'm like, no. Because, like...
No, you're putting valuable people in your life.
Yeah. And, like, it's not even that. It's, like, I will spend, like, a year or 2 years before I ever ask for, like, anything. And I'll just, like, try to push as much shit as I can. Just, like, your way. Like, let's take care of you first. And, like, that's kind of, like, where I've tried to, like, learn with people and things like that. It's, like, how can I develop a relationship? hook them up with stuff.
Yeah.
Give to them
Well,
first.
it's a two-way. You know what I mean? It's got to
Right.
go both ways. You help them out. You benefit them. You're in their life for that reason too. You know what I mean? Like you're bringing benefit to them. You know what I mean? That's what I hang out with like Grant. Like like Grant benefits me. I benefit Grant. You know what I mean? In some way, like we're able to make each other better.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's how, like same thing if you come in and you're doing camera stuff. You know what I mean? Like you're able to make me better. I'm able to make you better.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like where everyone's benefiting from it.
Sure, and that's like,
and you have to have that to be successful.
And it's not like it's not a bad thing because then it's like everyone wins. Like,
yeah.
You know, it's one of those upward spirals where it's like...
And everyone's successful. And then your group is going out and buying Rolexes. You know what I mean?
How you said that. Rolexes. I don't know where
that's just crazy. Yeah, but it is crazy. That's how you meet people. By talking to people and showing them. It all goes back to the same thing. You give people attention, you show interest to them, next thing you know, you're getting hooked up.
And it's crazy because the first reward is that you're talking to them.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's cool. And then all the other shit is just like icing on the cake. Like,
yeah.
Well, okay, does anybody have like any final thoughts, any conclusions?
Anything we can send them with?
We ran about basics. We had no talk.
I feel like we got some really good nuggets out of it.
Yeah, I do too.
I don't know how we want to wrap this up. Or...
Well, we'll just we'll see everybody in the next one. Until next time.
See you guys.
Deuces.